This video contains spoilers. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is the sequel to Breath of the Wild, a game famous for its open-world map design, letting you explore to the wide range of the map. But Tears of the Kingdom doesn't let you just explore out, you could explore up and down. The story begins underneath Hyrule Castle. Link and Zelda are investigating the ruins underneath the castle. They find a creepy mummy oozing gloom. An arm with a teardrop-shaped stone is on top of the mummy, and it falls off right when Link and Zelda arrive. Perfect timing. Zelda picks up the stone. The mummy wakes up and launches an attack at her. Link blocks the attack, but it really messes up his arm, and he also breaks the Master Sword in the process. The mummy launches Hyrule Castle up into the sky using his goo, and then he falls into a chasm. Zelda also falls into the chasm, but disappears in a flash of light, sending her back into the past. The arm that was on top of the mummy grabs Link and teleports away. Zelda wakes up and is found by the first king of Hyrule, Rauru, and his wife, Sonia. They take Zelda to Raru's sister, Minoru, who explains that the stones amplify one's powers, and that Zelda's got time powers, which is how she ended up back in the past. The only way she can think of to help Zelda to return to her present time is to turn her into a dragon, granting her eternal life. But it's a forbidden practice because you lose your mind when you become a dragon, so they decide against it. At least until Chekhov's gun needs to fire later. A Gerudo warrior named Ganondorf seeks to conquer the land, and although Rauru and the others can sense that he's up to no good, they decide to let him join the kingdom just so they can keep a closer eye on him. In the meantime, Zelda trains her time powers with Sonia. Eventually, Ganondorf makes his move, and kills Sonia, taking her special stone. He immediately powers up and summons a whole bunch of monsters and starts to conquer the land. Rauru gathers the leaders of the remaining tribes around Hyrule and gives them each a special stone, turning them into the sages. They all confront Ganondorf and are unsuccessful in defeating him, and Rauru gives his life to seal him away. After the battle, Zelda is just hanging around when suddenly Link's Master Sword appears on an altar. With its appearance, Zelda knows that she needs to power it up so Link can use it against Ganondorf in the future. Zelda travels to each of the sages and lets them know that in the future Link will fight Ganondorf and that he'll need the sages' power again at that time. So the sages promise that their descendants will rise up and help when the time comes. Minoru puts her spirit into the Pad, Zelda's little Nintendo Switch looking like thing. They give it to a little robot so Link can have the pad in the future. Zelda performs the dragon ritual while holding the Master Sword, which will give her time to infuse it with sacred power over the next few centuries while the sword heals. Back in the present, Link wakes up on a floating sky island with Raru's arm attached to him. He finds the broken Master Sword and the little Nintendo Switch that a robot gives him. The ghost of Rauru meets Link and says, "Hey, that's my arm, and it's weaker than it should be, so you should go power it up with these shrines." He does, and he opens the Temple of Time. He puts the Master Sword on a pedestal which sends it back to Zelda in the past. He jumps off the Sky Island into Hyrule and eventually makes his way to Pyrrha's lab. She tells him about 4 strange phenomena that could be linked to Princess Zelda. Possibly. So Link goes to investigate. At each of the locations, Ganondorf has been causing some mayhem using a monster and misleading people with a Zelda puppet. Link fights off the monsters with friends, and luckily these friends just happen to be descended from the sages of the past, so they receive a stone and become sages. And the sages make us watch the same cutscene about 4 different times. Each story goes, the Demon King Ganondorf was a bad dude. All of us fought him. We lost. King Rauru sacrificed himself. Zelda found us later. She made us promise that her descendants will help in the future. 4 times. Eventually, Link makes his way to Hyrule Castle, and the Zelda puppet keeps encouraging Link to go deeper into the castle. Ganondorf reveals that he's in control of the puppet, and Link has to fight off a bunch of phantom Ganons. The sages all show up and Ganondorf bounces. After gathering everyone up, Pyrrha explains that they're missing a sage based on everybody's stories. So Link starts investigating ruins until he finds Minoru's mask, which guides him towards a robot that she made. Together they reclaim her special stone, and her spirit flies out of the Nintendo Switch and flies into it. And we get an expanded version of that same cutscene we've seen a whole bunch already. During the whole story, Link finds pools of Zelda's tears, which gives him glimpses into her time into the past. Thanks to these tears and Minoru, Link knows where to find the Master Sword. The Zelda dragon has been flying around this whole time, so Link jumps off of a sky island and lands on her head. He pulls out the sword, but only if he has enough stamina. Everybody goes to the depths of Hyrule Castle and fends off hordes of Ganon monsters. The sages all fend off the same monsters they fought before, and Link goes to confront Ganondorf. Mummy Ganondorf has been hit in the gym and he's returned to his jacked younger self. But he eventually loses the fight, so he swallows his stone, which turns him into a dragon. Up in the sky, the Dragon Zelda shows up and she and Link fight off Ganon together. He explodes, and the spirits of Sonia and Rauru help Link restore his arm and Zelda back into her original form. Sometime later at the Temple of Time, the sages all swear to support Zelda, and Mineru's spirit fades away. And they all live happily ever after, at least until the next Zelda game comes out.